welcome to ABA Inside Track, the podcast that's like reading in your car, but safer. I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, and with me as always are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hello, Rob. It's me, Diana.
Hi.
Cruz.
Oh, goodness. I'm sorry I interrupted your Perry Cruz.
It's okay.
That's Diana Perry Cruz, and I'm Jackie, not Perry Cruz.
No.
Jackie MacDonald.
Jackie MacDonald. And this is a podcast about behavior analysis, behavior analytic research, where every week we pick a topic and discuss it at length, as well as the relevant research articles that you could be reviewing. I was going to do segue, but I just came from work because this is a new recording time for us, and I don't have time. I'm still in work busy mode. Let's get this done. So what's our topic this week? Water safety skills. I know we did safety skills. The last time we did safety skills, y'all told me you'd never done it. I know we've done safety skills. Now we're doing it again.
We are doing a specific, very important piece of safety skills, which focuses around water. And because we all know that drowning is one of the major reasons that many children with autism or adults die.
Oh, I have those stats. Don't you worry.
And so when we were doing the safety skills, Diana and I were like, oh, look, there's no water safety skills in here. And Diana's like, oh, I'm going to look this up. And we found 3 related water safety skills articles. So we decided to make it its own episode because it is that important.
Well, I'm going to go back and rename the other one land safety skills.
Well, you know,
That's
I
funny.
love that. And then we'll have air safety skills. We really want to expand what we're doing.
Pilots need to really work on their use of I don't know what pilots need. Air traffic controllers, I think. That's all I know. So we're going to talk about water safety skills. It is an important skill, and we will be, and not just one skill. There's a ton of water safety skills.
Yeah, it turns out.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I thought it was just don't run by the pool and, don't eat a big lunch before you go swimming.
That's a myth.
I know that's a myth. That's a myth. The last one, the running, you shouldn't run by the pool.
That one's true.
So what are these 3 articles that you hinted that we were going to be talking about? I don't believe it's true.
No, it is true. And I will tell you what they are. We are going to talk about 3 different articles. Let's see. This is in no particular order. Teaching Water Safety Skills to Children with Autism Spectrum Disorder by Tucker and Ingvarson. That was in Behavioral Interventions 2021. Also, Let's Go Under. Teaching Water Safety Skills Using a Behavioral Treatment Package by Levy, Ainsleigh, and Hunsinger-Harris. That was in Education and Training in Autism and Developmental Disabilities 2017. And finally, Behavioral Water Safety and Autism, a Systematic Review of Interventions by Martin and Dillenberger, and that was in the Review Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders 2019.
They didn't make it into the published Journal of Autism. They're just reviewing it.
They're 2 different journals.
They're not sure
It took me
yet.
a while to figure this out as well. There's JADD, which is more geared towards research, and then there's the Review Journal, which does a lot of reviews. Yeah. Maybe they're like sister publications.
Who knows?
I'm not actually sure.
All right, so water safety skills. Why don't I kick it off? We're going to talk mostly about Martin and Dillenberger to start, and also pull in a little bit of Levy because all 3 articles had, here are some stats about water safety, and we only need to talk about
Not
this
levity.
so many times. Levy.
Because this is a serious
Levy.
subject.
I said Levy.
I know.
Diana was just being silly.
It's a serious topic, Diana.
I'm sorry.
I wish you would stop.
I'm sorry.
It's really embarrassing. So let's start by talking about swimming. Now, one of the things I never thought about when it comes to swimming, and when we talk about safety skills, is the fact that you can go swimming is itself a safety skill.
That's true. I
Yes.
never thought about that either.
And they brought it up. It's like, because I always thought safety skills with water are like, well, you need to know how to, I guess, wait for an adult and not run. That's kind of where it stopped. But everything you do in the water technically would count as a water safety skill.
Yes, right.
So there are a lot of benefits to being able to swim. One of them being, if you know how to swim,
You won't die.
you could get
You're less likely to
caught in
die.
a riptide or something. But
Right.
in terms of like swimming in a pool, which is mostly what we'd be thinking about for swimming, when it comes to safety skills, you have a lot of positive benefits, one of which is better safety. Another of which is certainly swimming has a lot of great health benefits. There's some developmental advantages. There's some studies looking at There's a decreased risk for chronic illness if you swim regularly. It can improve arthritis symptoms, decreases risk for heart disease later in life. There's even some research on early intervention, or not early intervention, but early children development. Kids who swim early later on have better motor or cognitive, linguistic, social, emotional skills.
Oh, wow.
They also get more skin infections, as I just found out.
This is the good part of the swim.
I was going to say like learning to read music, but you don't usually get. Then you get staph infection.
Heyo.
All right. Let's put a rest on that.
Oh.
This is a serious topic, so we shouldn't be joking.
I'm sorry.
Also improved attention, academic performance, improved psychological,
things
social
proven?
benefits.
Okay. Well,
there are studies cited that say swimming is good. So there's a lot of great reasons to go swimming. Decreased risk for depression and anxiety, improved self-esteem, and families swimming together report better family connections and relations. So
these things are great.
You need to go swimming. Everyone should know how to swim for those reasons. But the other reason is because swimming, while it's great and it's great that people can afford a pool and have places to go swimming, the downside is that if you do not know how to swim, there's an increased risk for death because of swimming. The overall life expectancy.
Well, drowning.
Yes, because of drowning. When you look at autistic individuals, they have a lower life expectancy than the general population.
Gosh.
Because 49% of reported, families or individuals with autism report some sort of elopement behavior, and 24% of those children in that group of they are likely to elope are exposed to near drowning situations. So a fourth of that half are exposed to near drowning situations. That's a huge proportion.
So big. And the life expectancy data was like an average person will live to be 76 years old or something. Mm-hmm. And then someone that has a diagnosis of autism is like 36 years old. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's because of these major, the major causes of death or accidents.
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
It lowers that average when children are, considered fatalities in that. In general, so you're about twice as more likely, if you're an individual diagnosed with autism, twice more likely to die from drowning as like a general population. It's like all of Americans, when you look at that specific subset, there's twice as much likely to die from drowning.
And this is not specific to any particular diagnosis as well, right?
No.
Because all kids need to learn how to swim to be safe. But I know that this is an ongoing concern for families that we've worked with in the past. I think it gets paired up with elopement concerns, right? And sometimes you will hear those stories about not an Amber Alert, but just a missing child alert, right? And then they know like this child has autism. And like my heart always just sinks when I see those because I have read them to turn out badly because of drownings. And it's so scary for families. So I think that all kids need to learn how to swim for safety reasons, but then that concern can carry out further if you have a child with a developmental disability.
Right, because of the concerns of elopement and wandering and then ending up in water.
Yeah, and not recognizing.
And you mentioned
safety.
It's not just, this is a problem for children with autism. This is a problem for all children. Back in 2014, when the CDC, had people working there, the fifth highest cause of unintentional death in the United States was drowning. And it's worldwide the leading cause of death for children under 15. And it mostly occurs for children under the age of 5.
It's like so sad, right?
So
sad. So it could be so preventable.
And that's the other thing. It's one thing to say like, there's some big issues getting in the way of, but at the end of the day, and I think as we'll sort of talk about some of these studies, with a concerted effort and a plan, many of these situations could definitely be avoided through the use of water safety skill training. And like we said at the top, it's more than just don't run at the pool. There's a lot of safety skills, and some of them are fun to learn, and children are interested in learning. So the good is swimming's awesome. The bad is drowning is happening way too frequently, and we do need to be looking at how are we teaching water safety skills. Now, I liked how Dillenberger and Martin sort of looked at what are those safety skills? And they sort of broke them into two categories. One being preventative safety skills, the other being reactionary safety. You must be reactioning in those situations because you're using your reactionary safety skills. And this is going to be things, so we talk about Some of these kind of preventative ones, we're talking about sort of things like, know how to enter and exit a pool, know how to use a flotation device. And then we talk about the reactionary. It's how do you get out of the water? How do you surface after you've been fully submerged? How do you actually reach the side of the pool when you realize you don't want to be swimming anymore, or you're not able to touch the ground of the pool anymore? And then even skills like knowing how to float, knowing various swim strokes, are going to be pretty important for a safety skill, because if you can do those things, you can probably respond to these reactionary and proactive skills. And then just general safety skills as well, that you kind of fall out of the category of swim skills. Stay with an adult, walk when the surface is wet, right? Those are just kind of what we think of as our general land safety skills.
Go down by yourself on a slide.
Yeah, exactly. A water slide. You lie down and you put your hands across yourself and put your legs together and get ready for the splash at the end.
Don't wear your glasses.
You can wear your glasses.
Don't wear a bikini.
Off.
What water slide are you going on?
Are you wearing your glasses on the water slide?
I may have. I don't remember.
That's weird. No, you're not.
When we go to water, we went to Typhoon Lagoon summers ago.
You're not doing that.
You're not doing
I went on the Humunga Cowabunga.
Okay, but you're not wearing your glasses, and you're also not wearing a bikini.
I may have done both. You don't know. You weren't there.
I was.
Didn't.
I come to all your vacations. You forgot.
All trips. So let's start with a quick lit review, which Martin and Dillenberger decided, let's do a lit review. What do we got for safety skills? Specifically, behavior analytic interventions that are used to improve aquatic safety repertoires for autistic children. So again, it was a very specific set of, we want these kinds of studies. And in the end, they got to about 11 papers in the final review. I do love that they would have had 12, but the National Aquatics Journal apparently had shut down after their publication, and they tried really hard. They wanted us to know how hard they tried to find that article. They just couldn't do it, so we only have 11 to talk about.
How sad to have your paper published and then have the journal shut down and no one can access your paper anymore.
No one can find it. So we've had studies on water safety since 2004, but again, a lot of them, as they found in the summary, aren't really about what you'd read and say, this is a safety skills paper. A lot of them are really just about, hey, let's talk about teaching swimming, which we talked about is an important safety skill. If you know how to swim, you are usually able to engage in many of the other proactive and reactionary safety skills. However, it's not exactly, I think, what we're looking for. When we talk about land safety skills, we sort of know what we have there. With water safety skills, I kind of expected it to look the same. I think the authors did too as well, because they found lots of papers on what are the models that are good for teaching swimming? Would the Texas Women's University Aquatic Skills Assessment be useful? What about the 4 phases of the Halliwick method?
There are so many.
Who knew this existed? Should we use the aquatic orientation checklist or the Humphreys assessment of aquatic readiness? Again, all very interesting, but I think if I were a parent or I were a clinician sort of I need a paper on safety skills in the water, I'd be a little disappointed that most of them were telling me about various models of teaching swimming. However, some positives. There were lots of studies with groups, one-to-one sessions. There were lots of techniques used that are very familiar to most behavior analysts, like a time delay prompt, using a TA to describe how to engage in a swimming skill. A lot of use of social reinforcement to, shape behavior, most to least prompting, some visual schedules. There was even a paper looking at sibling peer modeling, some video prompting, and of course, behavior skills training. So it does seem like a lot of the techniques that you might use related to swimming in general are ones that almost any behavior analyst could engage with. They just would also need to understand some of the basics of swimming, which many of us do not. The good news about all the studies is universally, it seemed like everybody made some meaningful progress. There were lots of skills learned and taught. A lot of times they were maintained. Participants would actually learn the skills and move past them. They were play skills, flutter kicks, arm strokes, head turns, underwater submersion. All these things could be taught. How long did it take to learn these skills? Oh, it could take anywhere from 10 weeks or a full year.
How often? Makes sense, because some of them are very complex.
Some of them were tricky. And again, how often are you meeting? Is this like a once a day, swimming camp type situation? Is it sort of a once or, 3 times a week situation? How long? 30-minute session to 90-minute session, right? That's kind of the range that they found. But again, it does seem like, hey, everyone learned these skills, so the dosage may be less important than are you using some of these pretty consistent procedures. Bad news, though, if you're like, well, I'll read all 11 studies and know all there is about water safety, is many of them didn't really describe their procedures super well or use these very, strange to us, very swim-specific packages. So it's hard to say, well, what was I need to know this because I'm a swim instructor versus I need to know this as a behavior analyst to bring to the swim instruction I am doing. Almost everybody used some amount of prompting. A lot used time delay procedures. Many used most to least prompting. There was one study using BST, and then a couple that question mark, not really sure how they taught the skills other than the curriculum that they used. But again, it does seem like everyone learned the skill, so probably it's more about the consistency, systematization of whatever you're using. You will most likely see success, we hope.
Yeah, I really liked, I can't remember who did the study, but I really liked the study that taught swim instructors how to provide swim lessons, right, with clear instructions, prompts, and praise. Because I have been part of swim instruction now for about 8 years, not myself, but my child. And sometimes it goes very well, and sometimes it's very horrific. And so without those clear instructions, like prompts and reinforcement, I think it's just a big waste of time.
Yes.
And so I really love that they use BSC to teach the staff those skills, and that the students that then benefited from the staff having better training, they learned all those skills.
There was one person that published like a quarter or more of these articles.
Yes.
I looked it up. Yilmaz et al. They published several different articles.
Was
They
that the
love
one
swimming.
who was a swim instructor and also in
No.
school? Okay.
No, that's mine. I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, well,
That's also mine.
Oh, fine.
yeah, it wasn't
It's a
like
lot of them.
yeah.
That's probably true.
I mean, it does seem like they're like, I'm a swim instructor on the side to pay for grad school, and I need a project for grad school. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at the Y, and so
Yeah.
I better use it.
two great tastes that go great together.
Yeah, this person published 5 articles with their colleagues between 2004 and 2013. But a lot of them are in other types of journals that we might not typically look in. So like Disability and Rehabilitation, Pediatrics International, etc. So good stuff. It just might not be that people have thought to look there, but they're included because they're behavior analytically oriented.
Yes.
So
Right.
people could certainly go check those out.
So it does appear that the techniques, exactly which techniques don't matter. We know that many of them are effective for teaching, which, surprise, behavior analytic techniques
Sure.
are great for teaching new skills. Who would have thunk it?
Everybody loves
But they're
BSC.
Go ahead.
Well, the other challenge, though, that we run into here is when you look at the participants, you're looking at a very homogenous group of participants. All of them
Yeah.
have language skills. Many of them already knew how to swim, at least some of the swimming skills at the start of the study. None of the participants had a co-occurring learning disability. None of them engaged in severe challenging behavior. They all were able to attend. They got all attend for up to 10 minutes or 7 to 10 minutes and followed instructions. So when we say that these techniques can be useful to teach a variety of swim skills, we know that it does show effectiveness with a specific population of child with an autism diagnosis. But again, what would we see if we had a child who didn't know any of the swim skills or had less language ability or less following instruction ability or engaged in challenging behavior when doing new things, but they loved being in the water. They just don't want to be in the water in the ways you, as the swim instructor, want them to be in the water? Do we have cusps here? And then when it comes down to that, is there like an active component that, you know, I do love when we can individualize everything, but at the end of the day, sometimes it is nice to be like, you should probably just make sure you got some modeling in your package, or, hey, don't forget the social reinforcement, you know, some of those things that we just want to kind of know, like always make that be present. And then the other stuff you can add or remove based on the, you know, based on the child that you are teaching. So we've got these 11 studies. Only one of them are we going to be talking about, because at the end of the day, that's the only one that is teaching what we would consider, you know, quote unquote, safety skill. Because this isn't about how to teach someone how to swim, because in that case, we probably would have gotten a swim instructor guest to be on the show. But safety skills, right? Anyone should hopefully be able to teach safety skills to their child, because not everyone has access to a full-time swim instructor. So what are some of these skills? Could any parent learn these skills? Well, we got 2 studies that go into it. One that was in this kind of overall review and one that was not, because it's too recent. So we know ABA works for swim skills, but does it work for swim safety skills? Let's take a little break. And when we come back, let's talk about the safety part of the water safety skills. We'll be right back.
Hi, do you want to be a BCBA, also known as a board certified behavior analyst?
Sure, we all do.
Now you can come to Regis College in Weston, Massachusetts to get your graduate degree just minutes outside of Boston.
Choose from any one of these courses.
Master's of Science in Applied Behavior Analysis.
Master's of Science in Special Education, dual degree in Special Ed and ABA.
Or be eligible for your postmaster's certificate.
You can complete your degree and be ready to sit for the exam in 2 years.
And our 2022 graduates had a 92% pass rate on the BACB exam.
Come enjoy approved fieldwork placements, ethics mini handbooks, PhD levels professors, small class sizes, and a service trip to Iceland if interested.
And don't forget, our program is accredited by the Association of Behavior Analysis International, or ABAI, as a Tier 1 master's degree program.
Don't delay. Supplies are limited. Learn more at regiscollege.edu.
Again, that's www.regiscollege.edu.
regiscollege.edu.
One more time, www.regiscollege.edu.
See you there.
Bye.
And we are back talking about water safety skills. But before we do so, I want to remind our listeners that ABA Inside Track is ACE and QABA approved. And by listening, you're able to earn 1 learning credit. All you need to do is finish listening, then click the link in your podcast player or go to our website, abainsidetrack.com, to enter in some key information, including 2 secret code words. I'm going to give you the first of those code words now. It is baby. B-A-B-Y.
So creepy when you say it.
Baby. Like, hey, baby?
No.
Or, oh, my wife had a baby?
That's Diana's nickname.
Gross.
Rob's
It's
like,
definitely not.
Baby.
Baby, where's the baby?
Oh, baby.
Yuck.
Baby, find the baby. I want to watch Baby, the Secret of the Lost Dinosaur. Remember that movie?
No.
Nobody does.
No.
Just me. Write in if you remember Baby.
Nobody
Secret of the
does.
Lost Dinosaur.
I like it when they're like right below.
If it's on YouTube.
If it's on YouTube.
Which
So-
technically is.
I know. Right below. And then I do this.
Put it below.
Baby.
Baby.
It sounds creepy.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about code words anymore. Let's talk about water safety skills.
I want to talk about
So,
baby.
Diana, we talked about that review. There was one paper in that review that dealt with, I think, the traditional idea of safety skills, in that if you can do this, you have a lower risk
safer?
of drowning, dying. Certainly knowing the front crawl is going to help you with that. However, bare minimum, what do you do in an emergency situation? So this is a reactive skill. What do you do when you fall in a pool and you are underwater?
Well, okay. So this is the Levy et al. Article, and it doesn't teach you how to swim to the side, if that's what you're maybe...
No,
Like, that's
I'm
kind of what it
specifically
sounded
talking
like.
about
No.
going underwater and then coming back up. What do you do when you go underwater?
What they did in this article is teach you how to put your head underwater.
So that you know how to take
So
your
you
head
can
out.
get your head out of water.
Right.
That's what I said.
Luckily, when your head is underwater, it is a UMO to get your head out of the water.
I don't want to be underwater. I want to come out of the water.
Yeah. So that was the skill that was being taught here, which is more succinctly titled underwater submersion. So they know that underwater submersion and then the subsequent reorienting to air after submersion are critical water safety
It's
skills.
the first one, usually.
Yeah.
That's what they usually
Exactly.
Yeah, you put your head under,
Yes.
cut your head
Yep.
out.
Because it can be scary, right?
teach. It is scary.
And if you were to unexpectedly put your head under, it's also very likely that you would start to panic if
Yep.
you aren't used to that feeling. So part of it is that this becomes something that's more familiar to you, and then you don't panic, because if you panic, you're going to suck in a bunch of water, right? And everything could get worse
Step
from there.
one, tell the child, don't panic.
Yeah, that's always really helpful. And they wanted to address this for those reasons, right? Because you're like, the kids in the study could already swim. They could already do some other things, but they didn't want to put their head under the water. But it's a possibility that could happen inadvertently. So that's why they viewed it as a safety skill and wanted to target it.
I agree.
Yeah.
You would hate to be at like a water park and, oh, well, some of the things are fine, but oh, they want to go in the wave pool. And they're like, I demand to go in
Right.
the wave pool. And you're like, you want your child to go in the wave pool, but they're going to go underwater inadvertently.
Yes,
And
but they
if
probably
can't
wore
get
their
out,
glasses, and then their glasses fell off.
you only wear your glasses on a water slide, not in a wave pool, Diana. Get with it.
Anyway.
Okay. So they had 3 children in the study. They used, as we said, behavioral interventions in order to address this particular skill. And all 3 of these participants already were enrolled in swim lessons. And 2 of them had a diagnosis and 1 did not. So we also have that level of generalization present in this study. There was Allison, who was 4. She did not carry a diagnosis. There was Izzy, who was 4, who had a ASD diagnosis. And Caleb, who was 8, and also had an ASD diagnosis. And perhaps fortunately for them, their swim instructor, who was, okay, get this, he was 32, and he had been a water safety instructor for 18 years.
Wow. So he'd been
So he got it, when he was 14, I think, right?
His whole life,
That's
basically.
a long time.
I know.
Probably was the best water safety
Yeah,
instructor.
so
At 14? I don't know. Are you that good at teaching?
Well,
kids
yes,
when you're
but now
14?
he'd been doing it for 18 years.
Well, now he was.
Yeah.
I wish I did something for that long.
I mean, you have.
Well, you've been
Your
swimming
current job.
You probably, yeah, you've done a lot of things.
That's true, I guess. Yes, you're right. Let's take that out.
Okay. Oops, hang on.
Not really take
My
it out.
computer, man. What's it doing? Like, what is it doing?
It just loves you.
This is quality content. Let's.
What I want you to know about this person, is unnamed, but perhaps is one of our authors, is that in addition to being a water safety instructor for 14 years, they're also an ABA graduate student.
Mm-hmm.
I love that for them.
Right? Yes. So they're like, what do you know?
Water instruction not paying the bills.
They were employed part-time while they're going to grad school at this pool, and they were already seeing all these kids.
I bet it's a Y pool.
It doesn't say. It was in Western Mass. They tell us that.
No, I bet it was a Y
They
pool.
describe it in detail in case you want to replicate the pool.
Yeah,
Do
what
they
lane
call
am I in?
do they call it a natatorium?
No, only your study.
That
would
was
know.
a natatorium.
Oh my God. I didn't mention in your study that it's British, and so they call it a bathing costume.
Oh.
Anyway.
That's the most
Yours
adorable thing.
Oh, yours is not. I thought Let's Go Under was a behavioral.
No, yours is
package. Mine's
behavioral with a
behavioral.
U.
Yeah.
And they were like, everyone could already put on their bathing costume.
Oh, fortunately, it didn't matter what color they were in. That didn't seem to be important.
Okay. And so, you can sort of see how this study happened. These children were already enrolled. They couldn't put their head under the water. And our swim instructor said, hey, I think I have an idea for this. So they, of course, went through all the proper mechanisms to get this in place as a study. It was designed as a combined multiple baseline and changing criterion design. And
We haven't had changing criterion design in forever.
yep. And the dependent variable here is the putting your head underwater, but they broke it down into 7 steps. So it's operating largely like a shaping procedure here. Let me tell you what those steps were. Step 1, chin wet. Step 2, chin and lips wet. Step 3, chin, lips, and nose wet. Step 4, chin, lips, nose, and ears wet. Step 5, chin, lips, nose, ears, and eyes wet.
Oh, I don't get my eyes wet.
It's like right here.
No,
You gotta take your glasses off.
it just sounds like your eyes are wet. Like, ugh.
Gross. Number 6, chin, lips, nose, ears, eyes, and forehead wet. And finally, number 7, whole head submerged and wet
I would be surprised if it was not wet.
for 5 seconds.
Yep.
Okay. The approach here is pretty straightforward. In baseline, they said, time to put your head under the water, and they modeled it. And if the child had done that, the participant had done that, they would have been given praise. However, they did not do that.
And removed from the study immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for another, kids. Your lessons are over.
Like, that was easy. If it did not occur, then they moved on with the lesson. They only wanted to do 1 baseline probe per lesson because for 2 other participants, they cried when they were asked to do this. And then the 3rd participant just said no a lot.
Fair.
And he was the one that got put in the 3rd panel of baseline because he probably, I assume, he had the least emotional responding. So they really didn't want to upset them further than that, but that was what baseline looked like. Because they were only doing this, I think, once a week, right?
Yeah, probably for like a half hour.
For
They
half
were
an hour.
And they were doing the other swim lesson things.
Yes.
as well.
Yes. So they only got 1 shot per week to gather these data. So this study took an entire year. Yeah. This was the one that took a whole year to do. Now,
Probably because they had so much baseline.
I know. I'm going to talk about that.
Poor swim instructor in grad school, and he had to go through so many semesters. He's like, oh, I gotta pay 1 more semester. I'm never gonna graduate.
And then for their intervention, it was a fairly straightforward approach. The instructor provided the verbal instruction and modeled the behavior, just like they did in baseline. However, now, if there was an incorrect response, they repeated the instruction, and then they touched the body part on the child that needed to be the target spot that was under the water. That was the prompt. And if they still didn't do it, no worries. They moved on, they did something else, and then they revisited it later in the session. So there was never any type of coercion or anything.
Get under the water.
Yeah, nothing big.
They manually guide your head underwater?
No.
Like I did
that
with
would be
my kid. I
terrible.
just picked her up and threw her.
Yeah.
I did that only with one child and not with the other two. Didn't go great.
Which one did you do that for?
The big one.
Oh.
Sylvie didn't mind.
I thought, they say that, but don't do that. I don't recommend
Don't do it.
that.
Don't do it.
He didn't
No.
like that after all.
And that's why he swims the least of all our kids.
So the criteria to increase, so those 7 steps, right, became our changing criteria. So the criteria to increase was 3 consecutive lessons. So that's an entire 3 weeks to move up, right? That's why this thing took so long. Oh, and then I didn't tell you if they did it correctly, they got praise, and they got to do some brief game/activity.
It's usually like a bin, and they have lots of toys in the bin, and they dump the toys out into the water, and then you can like play with the toys.
I assumed that. I had written in the notes, it doesn't say if the game was still in the water, but I would assume it was.
I'd assume so.
Yeah. In every swim class that I've ever been in, this is like the funnest thing.
Yeah.
Not
Sounds
me
good.
personally, but
I like a good diving ring, when they throw them in and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get them all in one breath.
right.
That's
but
fun.
they're probably not doing that because they don't even want to put their head
No,
in
they
there,
would have
right?
kicked me out of
Right.
this study.
Yeah, my kid's swim teacher had like a little treasure box and it had these beautiful gems in it and they sank and you could go get them.
I love
And
them.
I wanted those very badly. It was a lot like your box over there, Rob.
Your birthday's coming up.
What's that thing called?
It's a mimic.
Oh yeah, it's a mimic box. It's full of dice for anyone who can't see it. It looked a lot like that, but it was full of beautiful rubies and gems. Okay. And then not only did the study take a year, but then they did maintenance and generalization for 24 months.
Jeez.
This author started this right when they started their graduate program.
I hope so.
They're like, I already have an idea. I need to start it now because it's going to take the whole time I'm in graduate
the
school.
IRB procedure for we're going to be in the water. It's going to be so safe. That feels like it would be a full review.
Oh, it's definitely a full review, but
He is trained though.
yeah, they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
right, and there's
they're in a safe
lifeguards
setting.
and-
Yeah.
yeah. It's not like we're at a scary lake.
That one where Jason lives.
We're at a lake and there's no one around.
Camp Crystal Lake. Here.
Okay. The graph is lovely. No one did it in baseline.
Well,
Yeah.
the graph is lovely, but it doesn't really represent the changing criteria on design. But that's okay.
It's okay. We're not going to get into
Yeah.
it.
They didn't want to tell them, go underwater, but only to your lips, even though your whole head's underwater.
Clinically, this is amazing.
I need some great experimental control.
Yes, for clinically, they did
beautiful.
it.
And they have great experimental control with the multiple baseline design.
Do
So
you think,
lovely
do you think
they
that's
did
why
both.
they did the multiple baseline and the changing criteria
Probably.
design?
I
Because
hope
they
so.
were like,
Yeah.
changing criterion's kind of meh
Yeah.
as an experimental control.
And it's just hard when you're teaching a skill to go back, right? Like with changing criterion, you need to do that bidirectionality to really show functional control, right? So if you
Yeah.
get to step 4 and then you're like, no, all you have to do is this, it kind of like pulls you back if you're teaching a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how they did this because I wouldn't recommend doing that.
No,
teaching
but
a
I would
skill.
think if you're doing the one probe, we would add time that doesn't need to be. But you're just like, great, now instead of your whole head, can you just go to your eyes or go to your lip? Like, it's not
Right.
that, it wouldn't be that huge an ask. But I also would then not be like, wow, the experimental control is so much stronger now.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, let's talk about changing criterion another time.
Oh my God, it's a full episode.
No.
One thing I do want to know is they started everyone at step 1 criterion, but no one, kind of needed step 1, I guess. So for everyone, when they introduced just going to your chin, for Allison and Izzy, they went all the way to step 4, which is chin, lips, nose, ears. So they went all the way up to their ears immediately. And Caleb, oh gosh, it's too small. He went to I'm sorry. Allison only went to step 3. She went to nose, and Izzy and Caleb went all the way up to ears immediately.
Good.
Yeah, so breaking the skill down and modeling it in this fashion seemed very effective for all 3 of these participants. And then from there, they systematically increased the number of steps of the chain that needed to be completed. Or I'm sorry, I guess it's not a chain. It's a shaping procedure more so. All the way up until they did it all completely. And then they probed everyone at 6, 12, and 24 months, and everyone maintained this skill, likely because it was a cusp skill, which allowed them to continue to do more and more things in the pool. Because they said, like, after that, we weren't just asking them to dunk their head because they were jumping off and off the side and swimming around, and it was happening all the time. So they didn't have to probe it in that way,
right?
Because it was being utilized as a fun component of the other swimming that they were doing.
I see your note. I don't want to get into it. So sorry, I didn't see it.
It's okay.
I think we could get it. There's nothing wrong with getting into it. I mean, otherwise, there's not much to the study of like, hey, what if I just said, don't dunk your whole head? What about just to your lips? Watch me. That was great. Have a toy. That's not the most in-depth teaching procedure.
Well, it worked.
Oh, no, yeah, it worked. It's good to know when you have a situation like this. Could you break down the skill a little bit more, make it a little easier for the child, model, and then make sure there's some reinforcement as they, engage in that successive approximation? Sure.
I just love that.
Yeah. So would this work for other participants? We don't necessarily know. We don't necessarily know the prerequisite skills that these guys had, right? Like clearly they had some imitative behavior already.
Yeah. I think they probably fell into the same category as the overall cohort in the, in the review study of already had some swim skills, already could engage, were able to, do various imitations.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah. Cool study.
All right. Really cool study.
So that's one safety skill. Let's move to a more modern, not that that
modern,
was old, but a more modern 2021. Let's move up to see Tucker and Ingverson teaching some water safety skills as well. Not just this one, but again, more of the what do you do if a child falls into a pool? Right. Those are the skills.
These are the skills. We're not teaching swimming here.
I mean, that's a good skill to have.
Yes, but we're not teaching swimming in this skill. And
this is what parents are most worried about.
Right? Yeah. Yes. We're not worried if you can do the butterfly stroke. Right. We're worried about you're running by accident along the pool and then you slip and fall in, and what do you do?
Yeah.
So the current study that I'm going to be talking about used skills from the YMCA swim set because, again, here, the experimenter was also a YMCA swim instructor. Mm-hmm. So this is like, students, get yourself into a swim instructor and you got a plethora.
It totally feels like, listen, if you're in grad school or you're starting grad school and you already have a part-time job, just use lump it together, right?
It makes sense.
Temptation bundling with your grad school project and your job, your second job.
I love it. Well, this is so helpful too, right? And the side note, they did use some of these skills already. They created a program that they went to higher poverty areas and taught children there because they didn't have as much access to swim instruction. So they're like, oh, I wonder, it worked here. I wonder if we could teach these same skills to children with developmental disabilities. So how neat. And so here, they picked the ones that seemed most useful and most socially valid if faced with potential drowning. And so those are, the 3 are getting to a fixed point of safety. You fall in. Can you reach out and grab the wall or whatever? If you can't reach out and grab the wall, can you float on your back and yell for help? And yell in a way that people can hear you, right? Because that was one of the skills. And then if you've fallen and you're on your front, can you turn to your back? And I can tell you that I have been in multiple different swim organizations in the past 8 years. And these are the 3 that they always start with, right? And they always start with them not in your swim clothes. They always have you swim in your real clothes until you can do these skills, and then they have you put your bathing suits on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you're going for safety skills, because it's very different to jump in a pool in your bathing suit than it is if you have long sleeve and pants on, because it like drags you down.
Like an old-timey bathing suit.
Yeah. Like
which were just clothes.
Costume. Okay. So the intervention include a variation of behavioral skills training, right? It consists of instructions, modeling, rehearsal in the pool, feedback, and they added physical prompts.
Jackie, I know how much we love behavioral skills training on this show. I have to think that's a land-based treatment only, so I'm pretty sure the results will be bad.
Okay, but they also added a lot of additional reinforcement, including like a jackpot and token economies. So it was really good that the swim instructor also had behavior analytic experience. So they had 3 boys that were diagnosed with autism, age 7 and 8. So in order to be included, it fit very much along the lines of the previous studies where there was lower levels of problem behaviors, could follow some multi-step instructions, had moderate communication skills. But unlike other studies, the participants here had no previous experience in swim lessons and only had experience in the water with a floaty or when a caregiver was present. So
This is the group that one would be worried most about when we talk about safety skills.
They said when alone, they could not make it to the side of the pool.
Okay, so great. So we're teaching some real skills.
We're teaching some real skills, right?
These Olympians, we got to teach them safety skills. I wonder if tokens or
So the setting was a natatorium.
Nope.
I love it.
It's just a pool. It's just
cool.
a pool place.
A natatorium.
It's just where it's like a place where you hold a pool.
They called it something at first. It was like it was like a compound word with natatorium, and I was like, oh, that must be a special type. And then later in the article, they take out whatever the first part, and they just called it natatorium. I'm like, that's not
it's
real.
Just a pool. It's just a pool area with 5 lanes. They usually call that it's like a pool house,
like an auditorium.
It's
for sound. A natatorium is
for pool. So they had a pool with 5 lanes.
I would assume it's for birth, natal.
Yeah, and this was they said it was at the Y because they were at the Y instructor. So the sessions were in the same lane each time. The participants could not touch. That was important, but it wasn't so deep that the experimenter couldn't touch, so that they could save the participants at any point.
You want to focus on your teaching when you're teaching rather than, can I tread water for 30 minutes while I teach this?
Yeah. And so they wanted to know that the pool was used for other things during this time. It was a regular pool day. Like there was lap swimmers, there was aerobics.
Adult swim would be next to us, and sometimes the team would be doing something.
Yeah. So they just wanted to be aware that it was not quiet, probably. Right? The lifeguards were made aware that the participants were learning new skills and that they would be calling for help, which is very important.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I love that they enlisted the help of the lifeguards. So when participants called for help, they would look at the lifeguards and see if the lifeguards thought it was loud and clear enough that they would respond. And so they would give 2 thumbs up if it was. And I love that. And then they're like, we did not give any money to the lifeguards.
Yeah. The lifeguards just calling over, I can't hear you. I'm not coming to save you.
So they used a multiple probe design across skills used. They did just a general 3 baseline sessions for each of the skills first, and then a probe, for each. And so the DV here was performance on a cold probe, similar to Diana's. They just did a probe first, and then they did the swim lessons after.
I used to dislike cold probes,
I love them now.
But the longer I go and the more settings I'm in, it's like, you know what? As much as, continuous is the best. I understand, but sometimes you just got to get data. Like, you're not doing continuous swimming probes. It's
and
just
that's
not going to
hard.
happen.
And so these sessions really lasted like at most 13 minutes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a third. They weren't learning anything else. They were like doing the skill and then getting out.
Yeah.
And so they rated each of the 3 skills that they looked at: turn and grab, float and yell, and roll front to back, on a score of 0 to 3. 0 is they did not attempt to do it. They said no. 1 is they got in the water, right? They did a little bit. 2 is they did a little bit more. And 3, they did the whole thing.
Yeah. I just want to say also, folks, if I know we have like some episodes coming up, we'll be coming back to some of the school practice, but if you are not using your little like rating scales like they have in this study of like the 0 to 3, where it's like 0 is no good and like 3 is amazing, that is a real game changer for could you please take data on behavior? Because when you're like, oh, could you do a frequency count on this? Get out. I'm not doing that.
Wrong.
That's it's not happening.
Yeah. So I thought this is really a nice way to look at it. So sessions occurred 3 days a week in the late afternoon. 1 participant came to the pool at a time, right, with the experimenter, who was the swim instructor. If they did the skill correctly or approximated the skill, like we're getting better from a 0 to a 1, the experimenter provided praise. Tokens were given for all behaviors surrounding the pool, right, on an FI1 schedule. And I wonder if it really was an FI1 schedule or if it was a fixed time. Mm-hmm. Like I wonder if...
a 1 minute?
Yeah. So every minute, I wondered if every minute if they were engaging in appropriate safe skills in the pool, if they gave a token, or if they literally waited for a safe skill to happen and then provided. Just like, I don't know either. It seems like you could do either. I just wondered. And so, but there was also, it was a concurrent schedule. Ooh. So anytime that a student did something correctly in the pool, it was an FR1. So they received a token for that and a token for like safe skills, safe behavior in the pool, like not running, like one of the participants liked to touch the experimenter's feet. So there was like things that they might not want to do in the pool. So they also had to implement a levels system for 2 participants because they were having some pretty increased
challenging behavior.
Pool behaviors, and that seemed to be mostly effective. So one thing I just want to point out here so I don't forget, one thing that the author stated that if this was a swim instructor that didn't have behavior analytic experience, might be really challenging.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we then think about how to incorporate this into swim instruction if you're not behavior analytically inclined?
Yeah. It was like non-compliance and some running, I think.
Yeah, running and non-compliance, and the running is the scary part.
Yeah.
Right. So they did the pros. They said, show me the skill name. And for one skill, they jumped in, right? That's the, grab the wall. And then the other ones, they went into went in the pool by the ladder, right? So for the training, the experimenter was in the water and the participant was out of the water for safety. And the participant was watching the experimenter. And then they got in and tried, and feedback was given. Sometimes physical and verbal prompting were given. And then if just BST alone didn't work, and it didn't work for 2 of the participants, they had an individual component teaching where if they didn't make progress on a skill for 3 consecutive sessions, that part that they're not making progress in was taken out of the TA, and they only practiced that until that part of the skill was acquired, and then it was put back in. So once they acquired the skill, they did maintenance probe at 1 week and at 1 month.
So it's almost like forward chaining a little bit, but not
really.
exactly.
I think it's like a more total task.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just pulling something out. But it's pretty neat how they did it. And we don't have like what that looked like.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give it to us.
I wish they had, because
Me too,
we're
a little
talking about skills where they're, if you ask me, like, break it down, I'd be like, you jump in the pool, step 1, you come out of the water, step 2, and you grab the side, step 3. How do you break that down more? I'm sure you could, but it would be probably like very subtle, very small things.
Right,
is it
very
the jumping?
subtle.
Is it the
Right.
Actually, I don't think that was one
the
of the ones.
jumping probably when it was probably the turning one.
Where they were struggling.
And the floating and yelling.
Yeah.
Right? Like you might have
they were
to
getting
pull
the
out.
you're not yelling loud enough. I
Right,
know
so you
was
might
one
have
that
to
came
pull
up.
that out and be like, hey, when you yell, let's practice yelling.
Let's just yell. Let's yell for a while. Everyone loves that at the pool, all the echo.
Okay, so for a participant Dean, baseline levels were really low across all 3 skills. Then following BST, they were very high and maintained at 1 week and 1 month for all of the skills. He did not need individual
Dean just kind of rocked
component teaching, right? For Castiel, okay. Baseline levels were low.
Did you watch Supernatural?
I didn't.
All 800 seasons of Supernatural?
I didn't.
So many seasons.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. Baseline following BST was actually not great. And so they had to do an individual component teaching and had to increase the reinforcer because they found that it likely was not motivated enough to engage in the skill.
I don't want to turn and grab.
Yeah, I don't want to turn and grab. I don't want to float and yell. The rolling was great. They liked the rolling.
But that was the last one too.
Skill.
So maybe he was just kind of used to it.
Yep. So that BST was effective for, but the other 2 skills, they needed to use the individual component treatment. But for the most part, those maintained at 1 week and 1 month. And then for the following, the last person, Sam, baseline levels again were low. BST wasn't effective for the first skill. They had to do individual component teaching for the first skill, turn and grab, but not for float and yell and roll. So all participants acquired the skills maintained. Future research would really look at how to teach these skills to swim instructors that don't have ABA experience, right? So they said, we might need a manual. We might need video models. And it seemed like this
I wish this existed.
Right, me too. And they said that they taught the 3 different components because people can fall in the pools in many different ways, right? And so they're like, we don't want to teach you like what you do because there's these 3 different things that you can do. So I loved that rationale there because I bet that was something that the reviewers had pointed out to them. Like, you didn't teach a coherent safety sketch, right? And I don't think you need to. So I love that they put that in there.
Yeah.
They did say that reinforcement, like in the terms of the token economy, was not faded during the study, and they wondered if it would occur under natural contingencies, but hopefully they don't find out.
Well, it also, other than who was it, Castiel, who needed the jackpot,
right?
Was it even necessary?
Right. And in the moment, like a natural contingency would be they fell in the pool. Right.
But the other piece though is these weren't children who hate, as far as we know, they didn't hate water or avoid water because there's no way they would have jumped into the pool as skill 1 if they were like, I hate this place, I don't want to be here.
You could not pay me to jump in the pool with my clothes on.
Oh.
So we love
what about a token jackpot?
No, thank you. Maybe that treasure chest of gems that I just mentioned before. Maybe I would for
Get that for you if you jump in. I'd also be curious because if we're talking about teaching swim instructors to use the techniques, I feel like the more techniques they need to be taught to use the more sort of friction you're adding to the procedure. If it was more like, here's how to do good modeling, here's how to do good praise, here's how to break down the skill, those feel like things that I would assume most instructors are like, yep, I do a lot of this already, totally within my, if you're like, well, you got to add all this extra, it's like, if they don't want to learn how to swim, why am I doing, you know?
I don't know.
I don't think it would be that cynical or responsive.
I think many swim instructors would see the value in this.
The skills, but again, the more we're like, you have to know how to do a token economy to do all these things, versus like, I'd love to have seen just more like a first then of like, we're going to do this and then we're going to dump all the toys in the pool.
You're saying
situation. Yeah, token economy.
You want some research on how simple, how simple could it be?
If you can avoid using a token economy, avoid using a token economy.
Yeah. But not for some kids you may need.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that you can never use a token economy.
Yeah.
But how effective would it have been with the reinforcement system from the Levy study?
Right. And then their final future area of research would be to see if it would occur under different people and in not swimwear, like maybe clothes that I've seen in our safety swimming lessons.
Well, if you are a swim instructor who just entered grad school for your master's in behavior analysis, you got a dissertation ready to go. A couple extension ideas right there, replication. It's going to be great.
There's a lot of work that could be done in this area.
Get there fast, because there's like 2 safety skill articles out there. Can we number 3?
Can we go into dissemination station?
No, let's talk about a made-up article that we don't have. Oh, we're here.
We're here.
I didn't have time to do that research.
Fast track.
It's ABA inside track, fast track. One thing that I would be really interested in looking at is looking whether some children that have lower discrimination skills, to I teach them to identify bodies of water, right, as dangerous, but then right. So I think that might be something that has not been done before. Like if you are
just the concept of bodies of water are dangerous,
that can be dangerous without an adult, right? So if you're like, you get out of your house and you're running, and most kids when they're running they get attracted to water, right? Because it's pretty and there's things floating in it, right? Like identifying that as a dangerous thing without an adult. It would be hard though, right? Because you don't want them to be scared of water, but you also don't want them to die.
I know. I'm sort of thinking, well, you could, this water will hurt you. Don't go. But that's not what you want to teach, because your family wants to go swimming.
Don't go in the water.
Don't go in the water.
Alone. Right, like we want to
go in the water
maybe
alone.
That's it. Maybe that's the skill of like, ask an adult before getting in a pool. Like strengthen that response, so that if they ran to a pool, maybe they'd even run back and be like, "Hey, I'm back. I need you to take me to the pool."
Like something like that too. And I mean, obviously, all the things that they're teaching are really important, right? But anything that we can do to keep kids out of the water when they're by themselves.
I think we have to look at some of the elopement literature too, of like what is that allure? I mean, it's probably, I would like to say it's probably as simple as, I want to go to a fun activity and I like swimming in a pool, but I don't have all of the independent skills, so I'm going to run to the pool because I can't easily get there unless I go myself, or I run away from my parent when I see a pool nearby that I wasn't expecting. So while like certainly teaching stop, stay with parent, all of those are important skills, I think one of the nice things about teaching the safety skills here are, well, if the worst case happens, at least they'd be able to enjoy a swim and get to the edge of the pool when they want to get out and know how to get up, or to call for help if they don't. They'd have all those. I think you talked about really nicely, Jackie, that idea of like, we've got 3 skills rather than the chain of events.
Right. Because you can do it anyway.
Yeah.
You could like slip into the water.
Yep.
And all of this has been pool related, but there's like regular bodies of water don't look like pools, right? Like a lake could look very different to a child than a pool, and they might not even realize that it's the same skills.
All right.
But it may be needed there, right?
Swim instructor grad students, here are your extensions and replication. You're going to teach the skills with clothes. You're going to add and you're going to go to a lake, right? And you're not going to use a token board. You're going to use a different, simpler form of reinforcement.
Yes.
And you're going
to
teach and instruct. You're not an instructor. Teach one of your colleagues how to do this procedure. There you go. You put those 4 in there. We'll get you. You know what? If you do that, you write in. We will do a follow-up episode
with you on it.
Yeah. It's going to take you like 6 or 7 years before that's published.
We'll keep going. We're going to be waiting
to this conversation.
You know what? If someone wrote in and said, "Hey, I listened to that episode when I was just starting grad school, and it inspired me to write my dissertation, and now I'm a doctor of behavior analysis, and I want to be on your show," and we'd be like, "Oh, we stopped doing that show years ago."
We're never stopping.
No, you're guaranteed a spot on the show. There you go. If that entices you,
We'll come back. We'll come back out of retirement.
Yeah. For one last podcast.
But anyway, Diana, are there any things that we've talked about similarly?
Wait, summary. We didn't really summarize. We talked about an extension.
Oh, sorry.
So I guess here's a question I have. We have these procedures that are very effective. Most of them are ones that are clearly within the wheelhouse of any behavior analyst. Do you need to have training as a swim instructor to implement these? Or can you just have a knowledge of swimming and enough safety mechanisms to avoid any danger while you teach?
So the only two that might be problematic in how to support someone are the floating on your back, because there is a way that you want to hold people so that they can feel the flotation, right? So that one, I think, because you don't want to hold them underneath, right? Because then that's a whole problem. So I think that one you might consider
you also
getting
make people sink if you hold them in the wrong spot on their back.
So that one might be one that you'd want to get some additional supervision with. And then also the turning one, because the turning one is really challenging if you don't know the right mechanisms, right? Because if you start turning with the front, depending on your shoulders with your hips, it's a little more nuanced and you're less likely to float. So I would recommend for those two at least that you have someone that is, a swimmer to help with those.
In all of these examples, they are doing these in pools that have lifeguards.
Yes. And that's also
and then
important.
in our past experience, that was the case as well, because we worked somewhere where they had a pool and everyone got swim instruction, which is what I wanted to talk about in Dissemination Station. But there was also
we're still here.
Hooray.
We're still here.
But there was a lifeguard on duty there. So it wasn't solely on the instructor, because I would be extremely cautious if you were working in someone's home and they're and then your RBT is I want to go practice. No, not under those set of conditions, right? So there are definitely only a few times where I think that this could be okay, and that's if there is someone who is trained for safety,
right,
who's there to intervene,
and it has CPR, and
because things could go real bad, right? So, the person could grab onto you and panic and pull you both under.
So if you're a behavior analyst who's working with a family, water safety skills are important. You would be best to think about using your BST to teach a swim instructor or someone with training to ensure some of those really important skills are taught properly. Right. So if you are not a swim instructor, either go become a swim instructor, then come back and do safety skills. Right. The family might not want to wait that long while you get your certification.
Or teach, or go to a common pool with a lifeguard, right? And teach the, you can teach this, or teach the submersion,
whoever,
teach the submersion, which anyone can do.
Anyone can do that one,
right? And teach the grab the pool, right? If you have to, because people need skills.
Start with those.
Start with those two with a lifeguard on duty.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you're going to do all of them, it does sound like I would recommend that you either use the skills here to teach them using BST. Yeah. So again, get that replication extension, BST to teach BST of the safety swim skills, right? I bet it works just fine.
Middle.
We know how BST works. It works in the water just like it works on land. We've learned that today. So that would be the recommendation there. Even though, you read the studies, you're like, that sounds easy. I know those techniques, but Jag, you bring a good point of, I actually don't know. How do I turn over on my back? I know I can do it, but I don't know. I can't describe what I do or how I learned it.
Yeah.
All right.
Water is very serious. So,
fun.
That too.
And dangerous.
Yes. As I was saying, where we worked previously had a whole curriculum, right, that they followed, and they were using the Red Cross, right?
Yeah.
Levels system that started with, just being able to enter the pool at all and then moving all the way up through the steps. So they followed that, but there were OTs on site, lifeguards on site, and then the RBTs who were serving as the instructors underneath the supervision of all of those folks. And I thought that there was going to be more published literature, honestly, that walked us through what those models might look like for individuals who, based on what the research looks like, had a far different skill set than what has been published. So individuals who had much lower levels of verbal language, what seems to be much lower discrimination of safe and unsafe conditions, instruction following behavior, more challenging behavior, and they were able to make a lot of progress.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why that is. That I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it does feel like it would have been tailor-made to we're teaching all the safety skills and we run the table on the relevant publications related to teaching these skills.
It's as hard research to do just from, I think, a safety perspective, right? But it to me, it's a case where, we talk about research to practice to research, where practice to research could really be beefed up, right? To show like, oh, this is capable. We're capable of doing this. This is beneficial. And here are some of the ins and outs and tips and tricks of how we've been able to make this work for this more severe population that is the exact population that everyone's so worried about. Yeah, right? So a lot of adaptive equipment was in use in those settings. A lot of additional reinforcers were in use. Everybody had like laminated like cards that were either data sheets or like showing like when reinforcers were coming, and like those like wax pins to like mark on them to show, because everything's wet, and kids that loved their iPad couldn't have that in the pool. What are you going to do now? There were very clear guidelines on what your behavior had been in the past 24 hours in order for you to be able to enter the pool, because there's also big issues on how, if you have someone having an issue in the pool, how do you get them safely out of the pool without them hurting themselves or somebody else, right? It's dangerous. And the pool is slippery. It's like so many things going on.
Or if there's an accident in the pool.
Yes.
That happened many times.
That can happen as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that there's probably a lot of knowledge out there that people have that I thought maybe there'd be a study that kind of like summarized it all up, even in a little bit of a more casual way, perhaps. And we don't have that in our literature, at least. So that's a wide open area that could be really beneficial. And tying that in, like somebody should make a manual specifically for this group that says, here's where you start, and then let's troubleshoot from there. When you run into issues, these are the ways that you can address that. And in, like you said, Rob, like the simplest behavioral approach that could be had, that could be really beneficial to getting this more widespread available. That's what I gotta say.
All right, let's go to pairings.
Oh,
here we made it.
We did it.
Okay, I don't have that many because
we haven't really talked about just till recently.
We just in the other episode that we did, which is it's time for pairings. Pairings is where I tell you about past episodes that we have in our catalog that you might be interested in if you liked this one.
Catalog with multiple U's, if you're in England.
Does it?
I don't know. I assume
think so.
They love their U's.
No. I was going to say catalog has all the vowels, but there's no I. More to the point, what I wanted you to know is that we just did an episode on safety skills. It's episode 325. It's like just come out a couple weeks ago. So you can go back and listen to that. That episode was really focused on the BST, land-based safety skills, behavior skills training, Dillenberger's in situ jumping in the middle of the session, that type of stuff. So these were less like that. They didn't.
I want Ray Dillenberger to pop out of the water and be like, wow, you're not using your safety skills.
Yeah, these did not have that.
You found a gun in the pool, but you didn't tell anybody.
So I'm not recommending all of those episodes. You can just go back and listen to 325 and take it from there. But you could listen to that. You could do behavior skills training, episode 132. And then I also put in episode 89, which is where we talked about next level chaining with Dr. Stacey Bancroft, because we referenced a few things in here that she talked about in there, including taking out a smaller portion of your chain and focusing on that specifically. That's like one of her like top recommendations.
If you love chaining and you're not sure if you've been doing it right, listen to that episode and there's a good chance you'll realize you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Exactly. And for my snack, I always like to recommend a snack for today. The snack today...
Soggy Cheerios.
No. I'm typing it in as we speak. It's chicken fingers, fries, and a pina colada. Because it's pool food.
The pina colada, maybe. I don't eat fries and chicken fingers at the pool.
Yes, you do. Like in Arrested Development, right? Where she's like... pool food.
You
can get those delivered.
You can get a
Not
lot
at
of
the
things
Y.
delivered to the pool. Yeah, the
Different
Y.
pool.
The
Different
Y
pool.
doesn't have as many pina coladas as I thought
So
when I.
my pool food would be a smoothie
Yeah, like a drink.
Oh,
You want to drink by the pool. Sit in
Yeah.
your tube
or a water.
when you're in a pool.
Just
you just
saying.
drink the water, right?
Ugh, pool food. You guys don't know what I'm referencing? You don't even know what I'm referencing.
You're doing
Jessica Walters.
Jessica Walters.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
That was pairings. Please enjoy.
Thanks. You have to watch like a whole bunch of seasons of television to get that pairing.
Or live with Rob.
Well, I didn't even get the parents. Apparently, live with Diana. Who knew?
Wow.
Diana was the TV nerd today. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed our episode of ABA Inside Track. Like our episode, like we only have one. No, this episode of the many other episodes of ABA Inside Track. If you have not left us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts, we'd really appreciate it if you did. Give us some feedback, some thoughts. Do your own little BST review for us. We'd love that. You can also go to our website, abainsidetrack.com, to find links to all of the articles that we have discussed here, as well as to purchase CEs. And if you say, you know what, I do want to purchase CEs, well, you better know the second secret code word. It's Ruth, R-U-T-H. It's like a name, Ruth. That's all I got for Ruth. That's what it is. It is a name. If you want even more ABA Inside Track content, we should think about joining us on Patreon, patreon.com/ABA Inside Track, where you can subscribe at pretty much any level. But if you're subscribing at the 3 and above levels, you get our episodes a week ahead of time. If you're subscribing at the $5 level or at any level, again, you can vote on our quarterly listener choice polls. But at that $5 level, you not only get the video outputs, you get to see the raw audio of what this craziness. When we referred to Jackie's hair at one point, you don't know what it looked like unless you're on that tier. And you also get a free CE. And then if you say, you know what, I liked your podcast, could it be twice as long? Oh, you bet it could be. It's our quarterly book clubs voted on by our listeners. We get one of those every season, and only at the $10 and up level are you going to hear all 4 of those the moment they are released, as well as get a total of 8 CEs just for listening and enjoying those. And if you're thinking about joining us, before we started, we talked about what books we were in the middle of reading in the year, and Jackie said, I think one of the books from this year is the best book club book we've ever read. Better than Walden 2.
Yep.
Better than The Science of Consequences.
Yes.
I can't believe this. This is crazy. All right. Well, which book is it? Well, even if you find out, you can't listen to it unless you're joining us on patreon.com/ABA Inside Track. Someday you can. We release them eventually, but you're going to, like, all your friends will know, and won't you feel silly when you're at the pool with your chicken fingers and pina coladas?
So gross.
So final big
Soggy.
thanks to Dr. Jim Carr for recording our intro and outro music, Kyle Sturry for interstitial music, and Dan Thabit of the Podcast Doctors for his amazing editing work. We'll be back next week with another fun-filled episode, but until then, keep responding. Bye!
Bye.